I will be reading Code Makers and Code Breakers on page 21 and 22 of our Phonics books. Make sure that you're following along with me, and also make sure to pause the video every time that you hear something that you should annotate or take a note about. You can look at the annotation marks key on the slide. Have you ever made up a code so you could send secret messages to a friend? If you have, you could consider yourself an amateur cryptographer. A cryptographer is a person who hides information by using obscure codes. Codes have been used throughout history to keep messages private. During wartime, codes are used to disguise important military information. In World War II, both military sides used radios and telephones as forms of communication. These devices were essential ways to transmit information about troop location and other important matters. They also made it easy for others to spy on conversations. The United States listened in on its enemies talking, and enemies listened in on the US. Both sides developed codes to hide important information in their messages. They also tried to break each other's codes to learn details about the other's plans. The United States needed both code makers and code breakers in order to win the war. The Pacific Ocean is dotted with hundreds of tiny islands. During World War II, the U.S. Marines and Japanese troops fought for control of this region. It was the Marines' job to stop Japan from completely taking over. They used codes to keep information about battle plans secret, but the Japanese were very good at breaking codes. They were able to break every code the Marines used. The Marines needed a more obscure code to keep important information secret. In 1942, the Marines decided to try something new. They recruited 29 Navajo men to develop a new code using the Navajo language. Navajo is a good language to use for a code. It is a difficult second language to learn because it has lots of rules. For example, every syllable in the Navajo language means something. In addition, the meanings of words depend on how the words are spoken. A code based on this language is very difficult to break. After the Navajo Marines attended training camp, they got to work creating a code. They had a list of over 200 words that military leaders needed changed to code. They worked long hours choosing Navajo words that could stand for English words. For example, the Navajo word for hummingbird became the code for jet fighter. The Navajo term iron fish became the code for submarine. Code talkers also created an alphabet code so they could spell out words. They chose an object that began with each English letter and then translated the word into Navajo. For example, the Navajo word for cat, moasi, was used for the letter C. It was difficult, and the Navajo Marines were told not to write anything down. They had to memorize every part of the codes. About 400 Navajo code talkers served in World War II. Their job was to translate important messages about troop movement and enemy positions into the Navajo code, and then transmit these messages to other code talkers who would decode the messages. The code talkers influenced many important battles. In one battle, a team of 6 code talkers sent and received 800 messages without any errors. Their work helped the Allied forces win the battle. The heroic men were highly praised for their skill and accuracy. The U.S. military did its own share of code breaking during World War II. Japan's surprise attack on Pearl Harbor shocked American military leaders. They realized they needed more code breakers to prevent another surprise attack. Most men were busy getting ready to fight in the war, So, recruiters went to college campuses to find women who were good at math, science, and speaking foreign languages to become code breakers. After graduation, qualified women were sent to basic training camp. Then they were trained by the government to make and break codes. The work was top secret. For the next several years, these women broke enemy codes that hid critical information about troop movements, supply locations, and more. Figuring out the secrets behind coded messages was very difficult. The women spent days, weeks, and sometimes months looking for patterns and other clues. More than 10,000 women served as code breakers during World War II. They were sometimes called code girls. After the war, both the Navajo code talkers and the code girls were told to keep their work secret. Their unique contributions to the war effort were almost unknown. In 1968, the Navajo Code Talkers program was declassified and people slowly began to learn about it. However, records related to the Code Girls program have only recently been made public. National recognition for code makers and code breakers' contributions took time. In 2001, the United States Congress finally passed a law to honor the Navajo code talkers. In addition, a number of the women code breakers who served in World War II have been honored for their service. Go ahead and listen to the article as many times as you need to. You can also come back to this video for future questions and assignments if you need to listen to it again.